Today, my journey to 2000 has improved. I have came back to the 1500 rating, and I played 12 games, so we're going to go through all 12 of those games. Pretty crazy stuff happened. The first game itself actually was craziness. Just insane. For those that don't know, I review and analyze the games I play before doing the video, and then we just go over it again together. Here, there's this crazy move where I actually can allow him to take this pawn. The idea is here, where was it? If he takes the pawn, I bring the queen to b6, and the knight has no way to go, and his white pieces have no way of attacking my queen. If he comes here, I take it, obviously. His best move is to come here, so at least he gets a pawn. And then I'm winning. I did not see that. I just thought this pawn is poo-poo. So I need to look at my knights, right? That didn't happen in the game. But I'll show you why this game becomes crazy. Okay, look at all this. My queen is just standing there on the sidelines. My king is out. Oh my god, look at all the pressure on my king. And I spent a lot of time thinking in this game too. Look at the time here. 6 minutes goes down to 5 minutes. This one move took me a minute, and it was only a decent move. And here he messes up. He messes up because my king could get to safety, and I'm pinning the knight to the queen. He's trying to attack me. Blue, 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 blue. Here, I actually saw this move. I saw this move. And I even looked at lines of taking the pawn and then the rook, right? But I was scared that my queen would be out of action because it's too far away. I have to stop being scared and have some reasoning behind my thoughts. I don't have reasoning behind my thoughts. Like, the rook protects any checks, and the queen is going to protect this, but I mean, that wouldn't make sense. The idea here is check here, and then I could take the queen with check. Well, if he went there, it would make more sense. And I take it. And here I'm winning because I have a rook for the knight. I kind of saw that idea, but I didn't see how to implement it, so I was like, you know what? I don't have much time. I'm just going to check him. And then he keeps checking me, and all of this is going on. I have 54 seconds. The game's going crazy, and I blunder. I blunder because I blunder this pawn, and then the rook is pinned, and it's just looking really bad. And I was trying to find a way to check him. I couldn't come here because of the knight. I end up trading queens, getting into the position, and the position is equal. But I only have 16 seconds. Now I'm winning. He takes my pawn. I take his pawn. He checks me. I get close to the knight, and that's it. I'm winning. I was waiting for the perfect moment to attack this pawn, to give a check and attack the pawn, and I do it! But I hang my rook. And with 9.5 seconds, I play a few more moves. I see that he's going to promote, and I resign with 4.6 seconds left. The second game here is also interesting. After analyzing, there was this crazy move where I could take this pawn, sack the knight, and do a double attack on the queen and the rook, and that rook cannot be defended. You know, if he goes here, boom, I win the rook. It's just, oh, bro, I did not see that. I did not see that. A few moves later, though, I blunder my pawn. I let the knight get into the position, and I blunder my knight. I think my opponent was playing super fast, and when my opponent plays super fast, I play super fast because it pisses me off, and it's really dumb. I shouldn't, especially not in the opening. My best move was just to support the other pawn, take with the pawn. My king is pretty safe. I mean, the queen could come here, but I could come here defending the knight. I don't do that. I take back with the king, and I notice my mistake right away, and he capitalizes on it and takes my stuff. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get into this position. And he lets me. He makes a very simple mistake, thinking I have no initiative, I guess. Thinking that he's going to castle, I guess. I'm not sure. And he loses his queen. And with that, the game was essentially over. He tried to come back, but I was fine on time at this point, and I just checkmate my opponent. Game 3. Go into the Sicilian. I didn't know what to take here. Sometime soon I'm going to study openings, but we get into the position, and I kind of forget that my knight is... No. I'm sorry. I was thinking of just putting a lot of pressure here. Didn't know how, but I was thinking about it. And again, knight moves, man. Knight moves are crazy. This is the move. And I'm thinking my knight could become a target, but what I don't realize is that the queen is my target here. And if he takes with his knight, actually I have queen e2. This knight cannot move. It will be captured. And no matter what he does here, I can take, and the game is pretty much equal. It lets me equalize on my mistakes. I don't do that, though. He gets into the position, and I just fight for my life to survive. Spend a lot of time thinking. Doesn't matter. I end up losing on time here. Pretty bad. This game had to do with king safety. See, the engine is saying, hey, don't move this pawn forward yet. Don't do stuff like that. It's protected by your queen. Develop your knight. You can castle, and then you'll be good to go. I was like, nope. I'm attacking. I think there's something there. I think this pawn would be hard to defend in the future. So I'm going to attack right now. I'm going to get rid of the pawn, and then I'll castle and get my knight out later. The problem with this? Well, I could get it out right here. But I don't. It takes me a few turns to get it out, and I still don't castle. I'm worried about this open file, and he checks me, and my king gets out, and I just get checkmated in the craziest way. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. The pawn covers, these two pawns cover all the escape squares for my king. The rook covers this way, and the bishop covers the rook. And it was just crazy. This game was crazy. This game showed tenacity. I know there's like, I try to gain one thing from each game that I play to kind of get something to think about. And I try to have an overall theme for each day, or I'm going to try harder on that. This was just trying to get back to 1500. And the theme is kind of different in each game. Like some you've seen has just been crazy, king safety, blah, blah, blah. This game shows the tenacity by my opponent. Like, kudos to my opponent. My opponent, it's like the most frustrating way to win. Here, this is a big point actually as well. I get really confused. I don't know about you guys, but I get confused sometimes when there's a lot of potential exchanges and stuff. This works because I'm up a piece. No matter what, I'm up a piece because the defense of the knight, of the bishop is gone. So if he takes here and I take, now we have two hanging pieces, but I ended up getting that knight, and that's why I'm winning. I don't see that. We end up exchanging, and my knight gets into this knight's position, but I trade, and I'm kind of a little annoyed for this, but I'm doubling my rooks, trying to put pressure here, trying to defend everything at the same time. My queen was defending this, and later on, I actually see this idea. It was the best move earlier. I see it later on to take this rook. Because if the pawn takes, then I get the rook. But the rook is able to come into my position. So that's why, and I only noticed that once I did the move. I was like, shit. I thought he was going to check me and get into the position. He doesn't. He moves his rook over for some reason. And at this point, I know I can win, even though I don't make the best move. I'm going to trade queens, and I'm going to win because I have more shit. That's it. This is an easy win. Wait. The pawn pushed? I can get checkmated? Well, I saw that. What do I do now? He's up a pawn. It's okay. I'm still up so much stuff. My king's gonna get closer into the position. Like, if he wants to trade, that's great for me. Wait. What's going on? I can't protect my pawn. I can't get it there. What? And here I'm just screwed. The whole purpose of this endgame, I'm so bad at endgames sometimes. The whole purpose here with these question marks is to actually force the rook out. Because look, if the rook stays on this vertical line, that's what screws me. He can't go here. I'm just going to target it. He has to leave. Well, not there, because then I just take it. He has to leave. And now I could get into the position to take the pawn and help this h6 pawn to go, or take this pawn. Obviously, this is the annoying pawn. I don't do that. I let his rook stay there. And when it finally moves and we finally trade, it's still an even game. And I screw up. I screw up. The purpose here, why is it error classifying? The purpose here is that he could get that pawn and promote. When I move here and he pushes for this pawn, it looks like there's no difference. But there is. The difference is he has no way of checking me right now. Now, let's say he goes here to attack this pawn. Well, now I go here. Now let's say he goes here. I think the purpose here is I could keep running back and forth, and he has to check me, or else I promote. I didn't see any of that. I'm playing fast. I have 46 seconds on the clock. And I lose. He promotes, he could get my pawn, and that's it. I just lose the game. That was a crazy. Never underestimate your opponent. That's what I learned from here. Now this game, I remember this game. This game is a game where I took advantage of the position. I remember this very easily. I pushed this F pawn because when I studied in the past, I saw that a lot of professionals, a lot of pro players will push this F pawn to make progress into the position. And I thought, I can't really develop much anymore. Let me just push it and see what happens. Here, though, I had this move. If he pushes there, I just win his knight, obviously. If he takes and takes, then, you know, he could take. And the game becomes interesting. I think the purpose here is that I could probably even come here, attacking the queen. And if the queen goes away, I could, well, not there, because then I take the queen. If the queen goes away, okay, not there, because I could take the queen as well. If the queen goes away, then I can win the rook. But it kind of works out that way anyway. I get my knight in because he takes with that pawn. And I see I'm forking the queen and the rook. I end up taking, and at this point, it's just really nice. My opponent resigns here, which is pretty cool at move 19. I just took advantage of the position. Here, finally in the openings. Yesterday, we talked about how I'm scared sometimes in the Scotch opening. Or when things seem like there's not defense of my king. I talked about that a lot recently. Well, here, I do the calculation. I'm like, is this a threat that I should worry about? No, it's not. Why? Because my queen comes here, defends this, the bishop still defends this, the knight can't really get into the position and do anything. Well, I guess it can, but then he loses his queen. So I'm fine with trading queens. I'm going to win the rook. And I was absolutely right. I was absolutely right. Here, I just try to trade the queens to get into the position. And here, my best move was, I always move this bishop first instead of this bishop a lot of the time, so I could castle faster. But there aren't immediate threats to my king. So I should have recognized that this move immediately helps me take out my knight. I didn't. I bring out my other knight, and then I bring out my other bishop, I castle, and then I realize my mistake. I'm losing my rook. I'm losing my rook now. I'm like, okay, I gotta get into the position. I saw that the knight can maybe be saved here. And here is a critical moment. The pawn is attacking my bishop. What do? There's so much going on. I spend a lot of time on this next move. The idea here is that if I take, and he takes, I could get my knight to safety. But this knight might not be able to get out. Not only that, I was scared of the rook coming here and attacking the bishop and the knight. So I was calculating all of this, and I take. And then, I guess I only spent like 40 seconds on this. My opponent spends some time, a lot of time, and I'm spending time. And I'm like, I just blundered. I'm hanging 2 pieces, and this knight's never going to get out. My opponent resigns. My opponent resigns. My best move here was to give check, and because this comes with check, he takes. He can't bring the rook and attack both pieces. And I have the move rook to c1. I did not see this move. Attacking both the knight and the bishop. What a crazy move. That's a crazy move. And then later on, I could actually get this knight out because this knight protects it. There are no pawns to attack this knight. It was just such a fascinating position. Like, let's say something like this. I could even come here, bringing them together. Or coming here. I guess this is better so it doesn't get attacked by the rook, right? And the bishop protects. It was just such a crazy position. Such a crazy position. And my opponent resigned. Crazy. I wasn't scared of his attack, but my opponent was scared of my attack. This game is also about king safety. I get into the position, and I think I'll add more pressure there. Because this is already threatening. Well, I guess it's not threatening anything. I thought this was threatening something, because I thought takes, takes, takes. I'm threatening to take the rook, but I'm not. I'm not threatening anything. So I didn't realize that. Regardless, this is how the game progressed. I bring the pawn forward, and I didn't even realize the check taking my bishop. Neither did my opponent. There's very simple mistakes we're making here. And here it's the same exact idea. Check and take my knight with check. My opponent doesn't realize it either. I see that this check is going to come in handy first, because then I might have ideas with the knight. And I look at this idea, but then I say, my rook is hanging. If I check this way, then maybe I'm getting into the position much faster. Well, I wasn't. It was just a blunder. And the big reason why all of this doesn't work, at least from my understanding, is because I'm actually hanging my queen. I didn't see that. And I end up losing the game. I just did not see that. If I got my king to safety earlier, maybe I would have been fine. I try to fight longer, and then I get checkmated. Okay. Let's go into this game. This game was kind of cool, actually. I was proud and not proud at the same time. Here, I sack my bishop, analyzing some stuff and thinking my rook gets into the position. Apparently, Levy, Gotham Chess, who's a YouTuber for those that don't know, is 100% right when he says sack the rook. I should just look at sacking the rook more. No, it's not that you always sack the rook, but I should look into it more often. This was the best move, because if takes, I'm guessing I have this attack, this threat, checkmate threat. Even though I'm still losing, I'm guessing that was the purpose behind that. Crazy stuff. And giving up that pawn was just terrible because I'm opening lines against my king. Anyway, that's not what happens. I missed this idea to give a threat on the queen. And if he takes here, then I could take the knight. I just missed that idea. Instead, I take the knight, not realizing that I'll have to take back with the queen, which takes away the protection of my bishop. But he doesn't take my bishop. He gets excited. He takes my queen. And now I'm winning. How crazy is that? And here, I think I finally have good and... Like, the past few days, what have I been saying that's been bad? I'm scared of openings where I can be aggressive, but I feel like I'll be checked and stuff like that. And my endgames are bad. I've been paying attention to two of those things more often. And this endgame, I'm proud of. Like, I realized there is no threat against me with this pawn and rook, that he's not pushing with the king, that I have enough resources, that this bishop covers this spot with the rook, so I'm always going to be fine there, as long as I keep that in mind, and I could just keep pushing these pawns with the king. Like, I kind of analyze all of that. I don't screw up like I did the other game. And, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Like, I see his king is, you know, like, oh, yeah, I could give another check. No, because then he comes into my position, and this just looks really annoying. Even though it doesn't do anything. And I correctly recognize that attacking that pawn is a better use of my time, and I could even trade rooks here and just like use my endgame knowledge to walk the pawn into becoming a queen. Like, I just blitzed that out. It was so easy to do. And yeah, the game ends with the game ends. Okay. There's a brilliant move in this game. I believe. Yes, there is a brilliant move. So here, I'm just like, this must be some sort of gambit. I'm just gonna take. Let's see what happens if I give you everything you want. I just have to be careful. I have to develop quickly. I know that's what happens in gambits. That's essentially the thought process. And he he has an excellent move, giving up his rook. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess he could come in, but what does that do? That doesn't really do anything. Well, he takes with the knight, allowing me to take and exchange queens. I think the idea here is that if he takes with the bishop, I'm forced up. He checks, I take, and now he could put pressure with the queen. Maybe now, maybe later, he could put pressure with the queen. Here it's saying to go bishop. I didn't analyze this in depth. He's saying to go bishop b3 first to protect the bishop. But the point is my king is pretty open. It's hard to defend. Like, let's say I do something like this. Like, yeah, he could just come into the position, and it does not look good. Oh, well, that would just win my queen. But anyway, that's not what my opponent does. My opponent takes with the knight, which allows me to trade queens. And now I'm like, okay, in a gambit, you're okay with gambiting some pieces, but like if you're down the queen, you're not going to have much of an attack. And I was right. Once we, not down a queen, but when we exchange queens. Once we exchanged queens, the game changed. I kind of screw up there, but I'm still in a winning position. And here I'm just careful not to screw anything up. And I mean, it's kind of like what I said before. I'm proud of my endgame skills now. I played this. Look how nice this was. I sacrificed the pawn to get my king closer. Like, I recognize that as like a cool move. And at this point, it's, you know, it's just don't blunder anything crazy. And I thought, I don't think he's gonna take this pawn, but let me try it. Sometimes this works. And it worked. I got the checkmate. Okay, 2 games left, guys. For those who are still here, appreciate it. Thanks for being here. If you're still here at this point, say yo. I don't know. Say yo in the comments to let me know that you're still here. I really do appreciate it. Okay, here I play with 89.2% accuracy. And I'm proud of myself because I see, like, ignoring the mistakes and stuff, I see this attack on the bishop. I see that I'm going to be able to maybe attack the bishop later on. And I was. But I also am cognizant of the pawns pushing forward, and I try to take care of that. I bring my knight into the game because I have that resource. I bring my knight there. I check. I come here. A lot of times I let pawns push forward when I'm up material, and I end up losing because those pawns actually become very annoying. And I played like a 1950 here. Jeez. And my opponent resigns here. Look at the time, too. 7 minutes, 45 seconds. We played 30 moves like that. Okay. Last game. Last game. This game, I don't pay attention, but then he doesn't pay attention, and then I just... The end game becomes crazy. So, it's a Sicilian. I don't know all the variations, obviously, but I end up playing it fine. I have a protected king. He has a protected king. It's a pretty neutral game. And then I bring my knight to this square. For some reason, I think my idea was to just push the queen, bring my knight closer to everything, and, you know, threaten taking the bishop maybe, whatever. Just put the knight there. Problem is that it opened up this attack, which I did not realize. Which is why when he pushed the pawn here... Wow, I didn't even realize this pawn... No, I did realize this pawn was hanging, but I thought it was worth it for some reason. When he pushes the pawn here, my best move was to come here to threaten back. And let's say the knight moves back, then I probably just protect my my bishop or something. It's saying to go knight b6 anyway to attack the rook. Whatever, I digress, and then probably protect the bishop, right? I blunder here by taking. I should have gone back to protect the knight. Look how I didn't even realize that when I was reviewing on my own. If I went back here, everything would be fine because I'm protecting the knight. Yeah, I didn't see that. Instead of that, I take, he takes, I take, and then I realized he could take my knight, and I'm like, wow, I'm screwed, but let me keep playing. Then he takes my, his bishop is powerful there, right? And I completely forget, and he takes my rook. And now I'm like, wow, I'm really probably going to lose, but you know what? A bishop is not that useful if all of my pawns are on dark squares. So I put my pawns on dark squares, and I go into the position, and He blunders his rook. My opponent forgot that bishops go backwards. It's so funny. We both blundered like a piece in this game. And we're both 1500s. Like, how sad is that? At this point, it's a very neutral game, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good because I feel like I could get into his position. His king is in the back row. I could bring this bishop, because remember yesterday or the day before, for those that were watching, my bishop, we looked at a case where, I think it was yesterday, where my opponent's bishop was able to checkmate me on the A file, even though I had a queen and I captured his queen and I had better pieces and stuff. He was able to bring his bishop in to have a discovered attack with the rook, and basically, like, it was something like bishop here, rook here, bishop comes here, discovered attack on my king, and it stops the escape squares. And then he had like a knight that stopped also another escape square or something. So I was like, you know what if I do a similar thing where my bishop just lives here, preventing the king from coming forward, and I'm always threatening mate. My opponent sees it, but I still go back to that position, and I end up losing this pawn. But, you know, I'm still feeling positive because I can see that I can win this other pawn. And at this point, I realize my opponent has 47 seconds. I'm going to try to flag him. You know, this seems like a very even situation. This is literally symmetrical with opposite side colored bishops. The only difference is, you know, I'm closer to his king. So it's more scary for my opponent. I come into the position. He has 1.1 seconds left. At this point, I don't really care what my move is. I'm just putting time pressure, and I win. He runs out of time. That was the last game. So my rating is finally 1500. Again, it's 1511. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. This was a long video, but if you enjoyed, please leave a like, and yeah, have a good one.